Okay, right. So today we'll continue with the same class creation. So yesterday where we stopped, from there we'll get continued. Okay. So yesterday we saw things like class variable instance, the public and private part. We will start now. Okay. So there are two things in a class creation. Okay. So one is public and private. So we'll explain when I write code that might be easily understandable. So for example, I am creating a class called person here. Okay. So this is similarly what we saw yesterday. So then after creating a class, we know that to initialize a class instance, we have to mention a init and add a self and give the details to it. Okay. Then to declare a variable inside class, we have to use self.age and give the age here. Okay, this is similar whatever we saw yesterday. In case if I want to create an example of person, then if I want to call this pass this person an age of 20. So if I print this x underscore p. So this will get person takes no argument, but we are passing it, right? Because this doesn't take any argument. What we can do instead of that, we can do this also. Uh, so in this way, we cannot directly call it because this is initiated here, right? So if we want to change, assign some person to the age, what we can do, we can call this person and assign the age like what we see yesterday and give it. This way we can assign it. So, but in some cases, we just don't need to get the value of it. Just we need to return the value. What I'm trying to say is like in some cases of the coding, we don't need to update the value. Just we want to return it. In those cases, so we are creating a class person here. Okay. So again, I'm just taking the same code here, what I have written. So inside the same code, so before that, I should not able to update the value like whatever I did here, but I just need to read those values. Okay, what we can do, we can create a property. So this will assumes like the programming language C boss like we have created the objects, but do not update those values. Okay, once it is defined, keep it as defined, but don't update it. For example, the same flow goes here, but only change I have added is age there. Okay. Now what I will do, I will run this code. There is an issue property. It is correct only. Okay, there is an indentation action. So what is it like? There is a space. Is given. Okay, so there was a space issue, so it came. So now I created a class with a property as self as age. That means we cannot able to update that value of the age by calling the function like previously how we did here. So here we can able to update the value of the instance by calling this, but here we cannot do that. Okay, so just to verify it properly whether it works or not, I'm calling the function again with calling the person function with the age is equal to 15. Okay, person. So the property, what it is defined here, what it will do actually, this code should work, but there is some issue. What it does is like when you define this as a property, you cannot able to update the value of that. Okay, once it is declared, you cannot able to update it. So that is the difference between public and private. For in like in this case, if you want to restrict some values that is not to updated in the private or public instances, the keyword we should use is property. So just take it away. The what is property? We'll try to explain it in the later point with the detailed explanation. But just assume, understand, if you want to like if you don't like to change the value, like how we change the instant variable, in that case we have to define that function as a property, so that it once it is updated it will not change again. That is the thing of it. Okay. The next what we will see about the inheritance part. Okay, so we already see inheritance in detail yesterday. So to explain it in the code way, I will try to create a sample inheritance class. Okay. Uh, there is some issue in my kernel also. It is not running. Okay, now it run. So what I will do, I will create a class here. Okay, class as animal. Okay, this is my class one. So inside class, what I will do, I will try to create some greeting messages. Okay, greeting. So this is a function. Okay, this accepts a self. Okay, so whenever you're writing inside a class, a function or a method, try to have the default parameter as self so that it can be accessed later. So we'll mention a greet like hello, I am an animal from here. Okay. The next what we will do, we will create this as a property. At property we will add. Okay. So previous two things. Then we will create a def favorite food. Okay. The what is the, let's assume some animal favorite food. Okay. Then print we'll use return. Then add as grass. Okay. So we have added a single class. Now what we will do, we will add another class. So assume this is a dog class, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to inherit this animal class inside the dog class because dog is also an animal, right? When it is a case of dog, we will write the same greeting message. Okay. So inside greeting message, we'll try to print as oof. Okay. Again, what we will do, we will write a class called cat. Then again what I will do, I will inherit the animal class again. Okay, here so let's make this is also a property so that I just don't want to change it. Make as favorite food, then take it as self, then return as fish here. Okay. So now what we will do, first we will call the dog class. Okay, so I'm calling the dog here. So after calling the dog, we will greet the dog. Okay, dog dot greeting you have to call, then run it. Okay. So the dog showed a wood. Okay, now this we got called. Okay, now what we will do, we will call the cat cat and will get the favorite food of it. For example, this is a greeting done for dog, right? But dog inside dog we don't have a favorite food. So what we should do, we just call the dog again and take this favorite food here and put it here because it's already inherited, right? So it showed as grass, right? The reason is uh, we made this as a property, right? It is made as a property. So The dog class is there, but it is inheritance of animal class. So that inherits a property which is a favorite food called grass. Okay, dog dot favorite food goes to the animal class. That's favorite food got printed. Okay, similarly, what we can do, we can create a cat class. Okay, so what I will do, I will call the cat class again here. And then cat dot greet. I will call. Uh, it is a greeting, right? Okay. If I call the greeting of the cat class, animal greeting came. Okay. If I call the favorite food of cat, okay, what I will do, I will call same function, right, for both. I got fish here. So the difference between this is like if you haven't mentioned any inheritance of it, the pre-default property will be taken. Otherwise, the thing which is inside the cat class will be taken. Any question on this? Like any doubts or should I have to any questions on this? The inheritance. It is like similar to what we have seen yesterday. We have seen many 3 to 4 inheritance right yesterday, like single, multiple, multi-level, hierarchical, right? So today we have seen one of the implementation for it. Any questions on this? Anyone have any questions? Can anyone tell like what what is the inheritance it belongs to? This code, this particular code belong to what kind of inheritance? Can anyone say what it does belong to? Does belong to what inheritance actually? Okay, we'll add this in assignment already, but answer this direction. Okay. So if no question on the classes, like we can move to the other part. Okay. Okay. If it is no question, we will move to the other classes. So someone, two people told single, but just saw the code again, and that will be added in assignment, I guess. Just you can answer there. But yeah, if any question on the classes and objects, if not, we'll go to the other part on the modules. Okay. Okay, example of multi-level inheritance. What is the use of self here? So in yesterday's class itself, I have explained about the self there actually. Why self is needed, right? Um, so what happens is like it is to access the instance variable in other methods. Okay, if you don't use self, you cannot able to access those variables in the other way. For example, if you mentioned a self not name, you can able to access this self inside the other methods also. Okay, it is just used to access the variable and methods. Okay, once you declared, you can able to access it um, in the other functions. So without self, you cannot able to access it. So that's what I told yesterday. You can able to declare a variable in two ways, uh, like class variable and instant variable. So class variable can be accessed with the name of class. Then instance variable can be took with the class in use of instance. Okay, so to understand what is class variable and what is instant variable. Okay, so the question to you is explained yesterday, but I'm repeating once again. The class variable are different, which is not associated with any instances. Okay, but instance variable are associated with instance, uh, which you can access it later also in the functions. Okay, is it? It is a keyword. I don't know if it's keyword or not. We can check. Self is not a keyword, but it is used already in Python. Is it is not a keyword. Okay, it's not a keyword, but it will act as an instance objects. Okay. Self is not a keyword. No, it is not a keyword, but it will act as an instance. Okay. Arisha, is your question is clear? Example of multi-level inheritance. Uh, I will give it. Okay. Multi-level inheritance. 1 second. So I will give that later. Any other question? Any other question? Okay, I'm assuming there is no question. We'll move to the next part. Multi-level inheritance, I will give it. Since I have to cover the next, I will take another session on while implementing. I will explain the multiple part within implementation. And okay, okay. So we'll start with modules and packages. Okay. So whenever you go with any projects, right? So for example, I will take Pandas GitHub. Okay. So whenever you work on any projects, we need to module the files. Okay, assume like there is a folder, there are many folders, right? Inside each folders we will have some this files, right? These are called as modules. Inside each modules we will have the init function by default. Okay, if you notice any Python code, right, in the module there will be init file will be there in all the files. Okay, that is an initialization file. So if you open this util, there will be init. If you go inside version, there will be an init. In all folders, mandatory file that needs to be created is an init. Okay. So whenever you create a new empty project in Python, we have to create a init. Okay, let's see, like what is the reason is, when we are coupling the Python code, right, like creating an extension or creating a package with Python, init directory will be used to module it actually. So whichever directories which has init will be combined into a file, then that will be used actually, a wheel file. So I will tell what is wheel file. So wheel files are nothing but it is like how we have apks in other Android versions. Like if you take jar in Java, and if you take C sharp, it is like SDK, C plus plus SDK. And if you take C, the compiled file is CPP. If you take any other programming language like Android, the compiled file is APK, right? So similar to that, when we couple the Python project, that will go as a wheel. Okay, so that will go as a wheel. So, so while even wheeling the project, it is necessary to all the files are having init file inside it. Okay, so that is the necessary. So Python will automatically consider if there is an init file inside any folder, that will be considered as an module while packaging. Otherwise, it will ignore it. Your code will not be published. Okay, so you can have the folder structure directory follows. So you can assume there is a food store. Okay, we are creating a project for it. So you have to create a module called food store. Inside food store, create another sub module called product. The right way to code in Python is like you have to use underscore when you are giving two words combinedly. Okay, food underscore store should be given. Then by default add init inside all folders. Okay, then add a product inside. So inside each product create a fruit and drink. Okay, so similarly you have to follow this hierarchy. So this is one of the project was working. So if you see here also, I have a dataset folder. Inside dataset folder, I have many files inside. So I have created some functions also here. Okay, so similar to this also you can create, but make sure like there are init files, separate init files inside each folder. Then this is mandatory. Like then whenever it is necessary you can follow two type of coding conversation. Either you can write all as a definition based actually, or if you follow class based approach, you have to create a main class for, like if it is a banana, create a main class for banana and perform all the functions in it and call this function when it is needed. Okay, so this is a right way of coding it. Okay, so the takeaway should be there is like you have to write the code in a proper structure. Like you have to organize it properly, like how we will organize some our dressing table, right? Similarly we have to organize the things, and we have to put all the init function inside each file. So also the important thing is naming conversation. When we are writing a two combined word, right, make sure we use underscore there. Okay, so camel case is not advised to use, but underscore is more readable, preferable, right? So make sure it is there, and always use small letters while writing the code. So these are the takeaways of it. Okay, so this is the module and package. When we are working on project, we may get to know much about it. Okay, then I have to explain bit about the exception handling also. So we'll start with exception handling. Modeling and project is nothing but it is a package. Okay, pandas is a package. Inside that there is like, if there is something related to config, right, they will put in config folder. If it is something related to API, they will put in API. If it is inside that, if there is anything, they will create. So each create a box, then put all the respective things inside the box. So don't put everything anywhere. Okay. So this is what about the packaging and the modules. We'll explain that bit later when we go for uh, a project actually. Uh, Okay, next we'll start with exceptions. Okay, exceptions are like a bit important topic in Python. So I will try to explain it like bit in a naive level. Okay, so in if you take any programming languages, there will be three kind of basically there will be two. One is try. Okay, if try worked, then it will go to except block. Okay, if try doesn't work, then it will go to the else class also. If else also doesn't work, it will go to the final class. Okay, so what happens is like when you write some code, okay, there is some error occurred. Okay, then it will go to the except class. Okay, code execute in the case of error. Okay, if the code has no error and it ran perfectly, then it will go to the else block. Okay, if then in case whatever happens, final block will always run the code. Okay, that is the flow. So try will run the code. Okay, if try has catch some exceptions, okay, then it will go to the exception block. Okay, if try in the try block there is no issue, then it will go to the else block. Okay, then final code will always run. The finally means it will run. Okay, whatever happens it runs. Okay, so the flow goes like try, except, then else, and then final. This is the flow. First try block will run, then if there is an issue in the try block, then it will go to the except block, will catch that. Okay, in case there is no issue in the try block, it will check on the else block where anything can be done because there is no exception in the given code. That means it's a good condition, right? There is no error in our code. We can log it. Okay. So loggers, I will cover it later. But understand logging means it's writing some success messages like our code got run. Then final block means like everything works fine. There is no issue. Okay. So this is the flow in Python of try, except, then else, then finally. Okay. So this is the flow of exceptions in Python. Okay. So what I will do, I will create, okay, what I will do, for example, I create a dict, okay, dict with an empty directory. So first I will try to call this dict with some h, okay. See, I got an exception saying key error. The Python has told me there is no h in Python in the dictionary of di, so there is an error, key error. So this is called as key error. There is no error key present in the created dictionary. So there is no key present in the created dictionary. So Python has created this for us, but we will implement our own. Okay. For example, what we will do, I will create a file name. Okay. Some name dot text. Okay. This file we will check whether if this file is present. Uh, till it is working. If file is not present, it is we have to tell it is not present. Okay. So what we will do, we will use the yesterday's code what we have used. Okay. First we'll do with open, then we'll give the file name. So there is no text file created as of now. So okay, so it will throw an error. Okay. File. Okay. Then print file opened successfully. Okay. Now what we'll do, um, okay, now this is the flow of try block. Okay, so try will check whether the file is there. Okay, if there is no exception, then we have to call the, if in case there is an issue in the file, so call the exception block. There is many kind of exceptions. Okay, so if you see, uh, file not found is one kind of exception, like name error, index, zero division error. So where we can get all the exceptions are like you have to call exception Python documentation. Whenever you are writing any code, refer the Python documentation. Don't refer any articles. Okay, you can refer the articles, but make sure you go with the documentation what it has written. Okay, so if this is a value error, it will there is an error called value error. There are many things. Okay, you can refer this document and get the list of exceptions that can be that is already available in Python. So we can able to write our custom exception also. We'll explain that also as part of this class. So first we will take, so that means file not found error, right? So that is the most of the error we usually get when we go to download any files from website or anything. So we'll say we'll start with that first. Okay, we'll answer like uh, see. So now what happens is this file is not present actually. Okay, so it goes to the try block first. Okay, then what it does is like if there is no error, no file, it will throw some error normally, right? So we are catching that error and saying the user there is no file found. So, we are raising the, okay, we are raising the exception. Okay, so now we'll see like we'll take this path. Okay, we'll take this file yesterday whatever we have created new text file and check whether for that file what exception is throwing. See, in this case file is present. Okay, this file is there yesterday what we created, so it doesn't throw any error. So hope it is clear like what this means by try and except. In case of exception, we should tell the users or others like why this has happened. Okay. Then we'll see one classic example, that is zero division error. Okay. So we'll calculate, we define a function called division. Okay. Then we need two numbers. Okay. var1 and var2 inside it. Then we will measure result equal to 0. Then first we will do try. Then we have to what I will do, I will write a function for that. Okay. Def divide two numbers. So in that I need two values, val1 and val2. Okay. Then what I will do, I will try to return uh, val1 divided by val2. Okay. Then here what I will do, I will get the result equal to uh, div two numbers, two number, then val1 is equal to var1 comma val2 is equal to var2. Okay. So this will do the values and it will throw an error in case of zero division. We cannot divide a number by zero in mathematics as per the rules. Okay, so in that case we have to throw an error. Okay, then there is something called zero division error which is already written in Python. Okay, we can use that exception, division error. So here zero is all z should be caps. Okay, while writing an exception, that is like a rule. Then we will raise first exception. Okay, we can print zero. We can even print this exception. Okay, then again we will raise normal exception if there is some other error. Okay, exception. So in the case of like there is no zero division error, there might be some other errors also occur in a code, right? So in that case, we'll raise some other exception. Okay. So what this code will do, it will divide a number using this function. Then if there is, it is a, if we give some number by divided by zero, then it will throw an error. Okay. For example, I'm giving values as 3, 2. First, we have to return the result. Okay. Okay. Now 3 3 is working because there is no issue in this code. Okay, it worked. Then we'll try for zero division. It's thrown an error like zero division error occur. So this is the exception we have written. Okay, there might be other cases like what happens if I pass a some string here. Okay, while dividing it. So it is throwing an error, unsupported operation, because we don't know what this exception. Okay, some exception may occur in certain conditions. Okay, so these exceptions can be catched with the help of this. Okay, so any question on this, like what we have seen now? Any questions? Okay, all right. So I have told like how we can create our custom exception, right? So for example, if we are writing a code, if the user inputs a negative value in the code, like if it is less than zero, we have to show an exception. There is no exception in Python that is already defined. Okay, so what we can do, What we can do is we can create an exception for this. Okay. As I told, we have to create an exception class. Okay. So like negative error. Okay. So inside this class, we have to inherit the exception class. Okay. Exception class will be defaultly inherited. Then, if you want to give any error or something to it, uh, print it. Uh, you have given a number less than zero. Okay. So this is an exception. It will get called when zero except when a number is less than negative. Okay. So I will get a number from user. Okay. What we can do? We create a variable one. Then input. It should be an int. Okay. Enter a number. So what I have did is like I have made an enter here. Okay. So if the val one user entered value is less than zero, if it is less than zero, then we will raise our negative error exception. Okay. So yeah, you can do this. Let's call this. For example, if I write 10, there will not be error. Okay. So in case of error, what happens is like I will write like something like else block. If okay, use try is okay. We are doing custom exception, right? Then else. For example, if I write some number in the negative value, so it rising an error. Okay. So what happen is like we have to pass it, and we can give our custom message here. Okay. You have entered number below. So like in when filling any forms or any websites, we can see that error, right? So in the backend, they might use exceptions to do that. Okay. So for example, if I give minus minus six, it will throw error. The reason is there is nothing called minus minus six. You have entered a number below zero. Our message got came. Okay. The error also you have to notice. It is a negative error. So that is the name what we give for our exception. But in this case, if you see, it is a key error it came because that is the error that they have wrote it. This is our error. Okay. So you can give any name to this exception. It's based on your need. Okay. So in this case, when I give 10, it says good to go because there is no error. Okay. Any question on this? Any question on exceptions? Okay. In the next class, right, I would request you to download the PyCharm. Okay. What you have to do is like go to PyCharm Community Edition download. Okay. Then click on this first link. So I will share this link. Okay, in the group. Keep a bookmark of it. Okay. Then here you will see PyCharm Professional download 30 days trial. Don't download that. Just come down. Here you will see open source, build on open source free. Okay. Download this one. Don't download this. If you download this, you cannot work on after 30 days. Okay. So download this. Okay. Next, okay. Once you download it, install it like how you do normally. Then create a project. Okay. Uh, create, click on pure Python project, give some name of it. Okay. Then click on base anaconda, then click on create. Then for me it is saying new window, then have it created, then create some Python file. Okay. And try to write the code in Python. So from next class, we'll tell how to write code in Python. But keep it installed. I will help on debugging also. Like so, I want to debug. So for example, right? So I will take some of the code what we have created. Okay. So we will take we can take we'll take this. Okay, if you wrote in Python, you can able to see all the class definitions, all these things properly. Before going to this, make sure you have installed it and given the Anaconda. So in the first class, we saw how we can install Anaconda, right? So if not see the first recording, like I may give like steps to install Anaconda and do it. Then in this class, like after tomorrow, maybe next class, have the PyCharm setup and try coding in PyCharm. Okay, okay. So try to add this in your resume, like PyCharm. Okay. Then, for example, I will tell how we can debug the codes. Okay. For example, we will write a function, uh, add two numbers, number one, number two. Okay, then code. Okay, then add a try block. Okay. Then first create a temporary variable. Add the number one plus number two. Okay. Then return p. Okay. If if uh, number one equal to none, or number one equal to none, will rise will create one exception. Okay, none. I'm just naming it as none exp. Then inherit the express class. Then pass it. Then if it is none, in case of none, uh, then will rise none exception, which is we implemented. Okay, and pass the error as you have not entered the value. Okay, if it is okay, if it is else all good, then return it. Okay. Okay, so now I have just created it. Okay, now I will add two numbers. Let me use it quickly. So whenever we are creating a function, make sure you add a log string. Okay. First mention the name as first number, the first number. Then use some another meaningful name, second number. Then return should be add two numbers. Okay. Then if you run this function to run this code, there will be run button here. Just click on run. The code got executed because there is no output because we are not printing it. So if I want to know how this code is getting executed, I have to put a point, okay, move step by step. That is called debugger in Python. To debug it, just click on the somewhere in your code, which line you have to start, okay. Then what happens is there will be red mark will come. Okay, next again, right click it, click on debug mode run. So the code will get executed in a debug mode. Okay. Now it will run one by one. First time it will comes to here. Okay. We can check what is the number one value and number two value. So both are like not equal to none. So if condition will get failed. So if you want to validate it directly, copy this condition, click on this dot, go to evaluate expression, click on evaluate. So this condition is showing as a result as false. So it will go to the next if condition. Okay. So again, if you want to evaluate this, copy this, put it here, click on evaluate. We'll get the error there. So now number one and number four is there. The result of that is C. So now it is in C. So if we want now the next part is returning. So it will return it. So it is not printed in console. After this code got executed, it will print in the console. So console got printed. Okay. This way we can able to debug the code line by line using PyCharm. Okay. You can do that this in Visual Studio also, but most good way to do is in PyCharm. So I would recommend to do it in Python. Okay. So we will see exception block also, how it works on exception block. I'm just giving us none here. Okay. Then running the code again. You don't need to run click like this and run. Either you can click here to run or you can click this bug button. Okay, then click on run. So now it came here. Okay, now this condition will get satisfied. You just want to verify it whether it is works or not. Just copy this code. Okay, then click the three dots, or you can use alt F8 also. Then click on evaluate. Now the condition is true because it is an OR gate. Okay, when it comes here. Then what it will do, we have raise an exception, then it will go to the exception block. This will get executed. If we print it, we got certain things like C is equal to 0 because C is not declared. So we will declare the C. Okay. If we run it, okay, you have not entered the value. Okay, like no value is entered because we gave us none. We cannot add none and 3. So this way we can able to debug the codes in Python. So in the next class, try to install PyCharm and try to code there. Okay. The installation is straightforward. Like if you stuck anywhere, try to check in YouTube and keep it installed. Uh, any questions? All right. If no questions, we can wrap the call. Any questions? You can leave actually if no questions. Thanks. Exception as E statement. Okay. So what exception as E will do is it will try to print it. Okay. For example, here I gave us like if you give exception, the code is obviously going to work, but it will not print the exception. So to show, capture that into a variable, right? You can give any variable, but that will get catched here in the V. Okay, that will be stored here. Then that can be printed here. Okay, so it will be stored in V as V. Then it can be printed somewhere in the variable. Okay, exception queue, it will raise an exception. If you want to print those exception means you have to store into a variable as I have used here, so that it will be get stored. So your question got answered. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? What ID you're comfortable? So if see, the suggestion is, uh, in case of Python development, right, go ahead with PyCharm. So PyCharm is developed entirely for PyCharm, Python based projects. Okay, so you can able to, for the first time it will be complex, but when you started working on it, you can able to easily debug it. You can even use Visual Studio. It's up to you. But the more flexible is PyCharm when you work with large projects, right? So the name PyCharm is like Python based IDE. You can do it in Visual Studio also. It's up to you. But yeah, so it's up to you. You can decide what you want. But it's again based on my experience, PyCharm is